Sarah.
What, Ron?
I'm setting up for the live today for Thanksgiving. I know we get sweet potatoes, turkey, stuffing. Did you grab a green?
Green beans?
All right, that works perfectly.
Sounds good.
We're going to start the live here in a little bit, and then we'll go from there. Grab the dog, Sarah. Let's go to the door. Come on, this way. Come on. Come on, Mr. Come on. Well, that was a little bit of a dramatization, but that's actually what occurred on Thanksgiving morning. We had a 6.0 earthquake here in Alaska that was centered down in Mount Susitna, which is a little ways away from us. I think the epicenter was about 50 miles from us. And how those lights just looked was really how the house looked when that was happening. And yes, we were going out the door when it was going on. And just as we were going out the door, it actually stopped. There was actually two parts to that earthquake. It was a little light at first, and then the house was moving. It kind of died, and then all of a sudden it came back with a vengeance. And that's when we were going out the door. After that first little one, we thought it was over. And then we had about a 2-second lull, and all of a sudden bang, 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 bang. And the whole house was shaking and rocking and rolling. That's the first time we've ever attempted to go out the door during an earthquake. They've never moved this house like that. As the earthquake was ending, we heard a few loud pops from the house. And now let's get into the video and you'll see what happened. This column here is the one that's affected the most, and you can hear it actually make weird noises. You can hear vibration in it. What I think's happened is we're getting excess pressure coming down on it from upstairs to downstairs. The whole house is kind of sagging a little bit. And what's happening is it's cracking. Oh, I got it the wrong way. Right here, it's almost 2 inches. And it's quite deep. It actually might be deeper right here. Actually, yeah. It's right at 2 inches right there. What's crazy is it's not just right here. It's also on the face here. And I'll show you that as much as I can. I'll use my phone video to get it in there. Actually, I should be able to get you guys in there. You can see how it's cracked going up. And what's crazy is right up top up there, the way it's coming apart. Let me see if I can hit with laser. Right where the laser is, you can see where it's pushing out there. It's also pushing out right here as well. See if I can get a side shot of that. See how it's pushing out there. You can see the top where it's really coming out now. Right there. It's out probably a ½ inch. Here, in this area here, it's not quite as deep. It's only about 1 inch. And I can't, oh. I'm sorry. I'm on an angle and I can't go in any more right there, and it's over 2 inches, almost 2¼ inches. And it goes down all the way to the floor. The crazy part is, you can see here where it's pushing out to the side as well. On this post here, on this one here, you can see the same thing where it's starting at the floor and going all the way up. Let's see how deep this one is. I haven't really checked this one too much. That one's 2½ inches. I can push it and pinch more if I wanted to, but I don't. In there, it's actually more. It's over 2½ inches. It does come down this side here as well. There are some on this side. It was checked a little bit, but nothing like this. And that's just a little bit of the damage. There is more under the house. Underneath this house, there's a beam that goes from the back door out to the edge of the front porch, which is around 51 feet. That post has 4 layers of, I think it's 1½ by 8 inch planks nailed together without ring shanks and without regular screws. You just straight galvanized hot dip nails, which don't grip very well. Those ones down there are actually coming apart this way and delaminating from one another as well. The beam here in the main house is doing the same thing. It's hard to tell from the camera until you get over this way more. where you can see it is separating, where it wasn't like that before. This one here that's inside the house is done a little differently than the one downstairs. This one here is laminated with plywood in between. What is it? There's 4 pieces up here with 3 pieces of plywood. So it goes wood, plywood, and so on down the line until you get to the width that it is. These posts are what's holding up the second floor, aside from the ones that are in the walls at the end of the house, as well as on top of the front porch. One of the issues we're having is the pilings that are in the ground are rough cut wood, just like the pilings I just showed you. They're 8x8s. They're very mildly treated with copper coat. Copper coat will protect wood for 10 to 20 years if coated properly. This stuff looks like it's just been washed a little bit with a little bit of the copper coat, and that's not enough to seal it. It needs to be saturated and needs to have time to absorb in. The other issue is, I mentioned before, there's a beam that goes down the center of the house. On the outsides of the house, normally you would have matching beams going down that way too. That did not happen. The posts for the outsides of the house were cut to the height of the main beam here, the top of it that is, and then they put 2 or 3 2x8s going around, boxed in like you normally would when you're doing a floor joist, and then they put the joist in. What's weird is when you usually build a house, your floor joists go with your trusses. So like on this house, the trusses go this way. So therefore, the floor joist should go this way as well. They don't. They run laterally with the house. That's not really that good. Where they're all attached, there would be the best way to put it would be it's crushing the post. And they're not very secured to the post. There are no tie down brackets. I'll show you pictures of what we have on the inside. There's none of that holding them to the post. There's 1 or 2 screws in there. Screws are not meant to hold things that move. They don't have a tensile strength. They snap. You know, if you grab a screw in a wall or a stud with a pair of pliers and you go like this, it's going to break off really easy. They shear too easily. They should not be used in construction unless it's specifically designed, like a timber lock. And these are not timber locks. The other issue with that, on the north side of the house, when you sight down the side of the house, you would normally have a straight view. Unfortunately, they go like this. And they're at an angle. Those boards that are just nailed together, that are attached to the floor for the floor joist, are also coming apart. They don't have the strength to hold together because it was used with straight galvanized nails. Again, I'm not knocking the builder. He did things his way, and that's how things get done in the bush. You work with what you have. However, for a house that is the size of this house, which is roughly 1,900 square feet, and at one end is 18 inches off the ground, and the other end is over 5 feet off the ground, you need to do things correctly. There is a lot of weight here and a lot of movement, especially here in Alaska, where we are prone to earthquakes. We have the highest amount of earthquakes in the United States. Every day we have, I think, 50 to 100 a day. Some are so minute that they're not felt. Some of them are like what we just had on Thanksgiving at 6.0, and the one down in southeast Alaska that affected our friend Glacier Shark, that was a 7.0. The home needs to be built properly to withstand that. Starting on Friday, which was the 6th, I believe, we had a wind event come through. We were having gusts of wind all the way up to 100 miles an hour in places. Here at the homestead, we only had around 70 to 80 mile an hour winds, which is a lot. I've gone through hurricanes down in Florida with that kind of wind. Whenever a gust of wind was hitting this house, which is totally new because it's never done this before, the whole house was shaking. We've been through, I think, 2 or 3 other wind events here in this house, and it never budged. Now, every time we get wind blow, the house is going like this. We're watching the pendulum lights that are hanging over our dining table swaying in the wind. Literally. How are we going to fix it? We don't know yet. What we're going to try to do is, in the springtime, we're going to start digging around the foundation area of the house. I need to see how far down these pilings really go. So I'm going to have to bring the mini X up and just scrape right next to the piling, one of the pilings that's already in place, to see how far down it goes. We know from our past experience here at the property, until we started really working on this house and changing things, there was always puddles of water around the pilings in the spring. So all that water is permeating into that wood, freezing and making it swell, dry out, and go back to its normal size sometimes. So now we're concerned about the integrity of those pilings under the house. For me to be able to replace all that, I need to find jacks to lift the house up, dig down, replace them, and pray that nothing else happens in the meantime. Then we have the issue to fix the floor here in the house, which we can see upstairs that it's having issues because I can put a level in the middle of the floor and it will rock. It didn't do that before. One of the other things that we know is a problem here at the house is the roof. The roof they used really thin plywood on. Again, not knocking the builders, they put up what they had, which is what most people up here do. The issue with it is not really the thin plywood, because you don't even have to put plywood up there. You could actually just do open rafter ceilings, which people do up here, and they'll just have the peak and then a flat roof, and they layer the insulation up there and create a cold roof, which is great. It's better for the house. You can put more insulation in there and give you a higher R value. And so underneath the metal roofing, there is no ice and water shield. We heard from somebody that they did put it on there, but I've gone up and I've inspected all around this roof. There is no ice and water shield under there. That's a bad problem. Like with that windstorm we just had, I guarantee you some of those screws are now loose. What's going to happen? Well, now that those screws are loose, not these ones, they're going to start leaking because those screws have rubber grommets on the bottom of them. They have rubber grommets on them that pinch down and seal the hole once you put the screw in, providing you've done it correctly. If you over tighten it, it'll screw up that seal as well. A few of the other issues that we have found too are a lot of these windows are not sitting right, and they have, I guess it'd be a form of mildew in between the layers. You can't see on this one here. I'll see if I can get a photo of it. The windows aren't in good shape. Yeah, those are easy to fix. We just got to pull them out and put new ones in there. The main concerns we have with the house is its longevity. Will it hold up to a 5? Will it hold up in a 7 or an 8? Yeah, don't laugh. Those do happen up here. Like I said, down southeast, they just had a 7.0. It's not if, it's when. They will happen up here. So we face a big dilemma. I was panicking, Sarah was panicking. We had our friend Jason from Crockett's and AK come up here and take a look. Jason has been doing building for a long time, and we went underneath the house and crawled around for a good half an hour to an hour. And what we found were where the two columns are in the house. Normally when you put a column in, you want it over a post going into the ground. So you have the post, the floor, and then the post directly under that to give it added support. This house is not that way. The posts that are near both these pilings are off by 1.5 foot. Now that 1.5 foot doesn't sound like a lot, but it actually is. What's going to happen is if you got the pressure, you got support here and you got pressure here, you're going to start bowing down. And that's kind of what's happening. Also, because the wood was milled wood locally, it may not have been seasoned properly. It may not have been protected properly. There's a lot of crushing going on in the wood. You can literally look at the post and the beams and the other pieces going into it. You can see up to 1/8 of an inch depression in the wood from the piece above it. That's not good either. Yes, you're going to get some of that kind of stuff happening, but when it's 1/8 of an inch, that's a little concerning. Some of the posts that are under the house aren't posts. Some of the posts are a bunch of 2x8s screwed together and then sunk into the ground. Yes, treated. However, when you have boards that are laminated together with nails in the ground, even treated, water will go in between the cracks where the boards are joined together. Again, creating swelling every time it freezes if they're wet. That's going to deteriorate the integrity of the wood. Sorry, this is a little hard for me to be talking about because it's something that's been eating at Sarah and I since we found all these issues. We've put a lot of work into this house, and now to find out that it's, in a sense, kind of failing us. And nothing due to what we have done, but just how things were done when it was constructed. Again, I'm not blaming the original owners. It's just the circumstance of building here in the bush of Alaska when you build your own wood. Myself, if I build a home, I'm going to use treated lumber for the foundation. I will use treated lumber for the first floor joist, so I know that that wood is going to be sound. What it comes down to is Sarah and I are weighing a lot right now on what to do with this house. We have the cabin. We have the trapper cabin for guests. If we have guests, I can move my man cave out of there. So what we are kind of planning on is once Adam and Phyllis can complete the construction of their cabin and move in, Sarah and I will move back into the cabin. It's a lot smaller than this house by about half. It's only about 850 square feet. Well, this cabin is 1,960 square feet. At that point, we will start exploring how to fix things around the house. If it is possible, there's going to be a good chance that it's going to be too much of an undertaking to try to fix this. We talked to a number of people and they say, well, just pull your floor up and then go in there and dig holes and put new pilings in. Yes, that can be done. But this house is built a little different. Again, it has plywood floors that I'm standing on. Underneath that floor is another floor of 2x6s nailed down on top of the joist. And they go all the way underneath the walls. So if I was to do that, I'd have to pull out all the plywood on the first floor, deconstruct any wall so I can get to anything under it. Then I'd have to pull out those boards and cut them in places, and now they're not going to go back into place properly, because it'll be, higher over here, because I can go outside and show you where you can see the boards that are that wide sticking out on top of the joist. But to do all that and then try to piece it back together, if it can be fixed, if we can figure out how to salvage it. But then again, now we're going to have an issue of, is the rest of it going to hold? Are the ones that are still in place going to hold up? There's a lot of ifs. So we're looking at possibility of tearing down the house and salvaging every stitch of material that's in it that can be salvaged. This is not drywall, that is plywood, and I put it up there with a brad nailer with the intention of one day pulling it off and putting drywall in. So that can actually be salvaged and reused. All the trim and stuff like that can either be reused or tossed in the fire for burning. The insulation can be saved. Just roll it up, put it in plastic bags, put them out in the barn. Because it's 2-story, I can put things up there and it'll be fine up there. The furniture, we'll figure out where to put it all. The cook stove, find a place to put it until whatever. And then slowly dismantle and take everything down. All the 2x6s, all the 2x8s, the roofing material, and just take a year or so and dismantle it. And then start anew, which we're 50-50 in the air with that. We like the house. We've made it comfortable. Sarah's done an amazing job at, designing how she wants things to be laid out in here. And it's not an easy layout because there's a lot of open space and there are places where you can't get into easily. Like, straight up here is a crawl space that's about 3 feet, 4 feet wide, and it goes the full length of the house on both sides. So we use that for storing like Christmas items and things that we don't use on a regular basis. We'll have to empty everything out and just store things. And then clear a spot and rebuild. I don't think I'd rebuild on this exact spot here at the house. I'd probably do it further back in the property, so we're giving a little bit of space from the rental cabin. That way there, if people do rent it, we're over that way. We're away from them and they can have their own peace and quiet. But we're still within earshot of something or if they have a problem. So the dilemma is what really to do. Are we going to tear down or are we going to just try to repair? And we won't really know the full answer to that until the summer, when we can actually get underneath the house easily and really check things out. Because what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to pull down all the underpinning of the house, all the insulation that's in there that's blocking all the cold air out, which didn't work right now because the wind blew so hard it froze our pipes. And then crawl under and just see what's going on. It's just concerning when your whole house shakes in 20-knot winds. The house was shaking and everything from 25-knot gust all the way up to the 70, 75 mile or whatever it was gust that we were having. It's concerning. Now when we walk through the house, or even the dogs walk through the house bounces now too. Let me see if I can find a way to show you what I'm talking about. What you can't tell is after I stop, it's still bouncing. I'm 200 pounds and it's not much, but like when Zeus and Mishka run through the house, we feel it because we're sitting still. When I'm doing this, no, that's the stove doing it. So it is really bouncing. That's a 900-pound stove. So for it to bounce when I'm just, and my feet aren't even coming off the ground, I'm just bouncing my knees. And I mean, Mishka's freaking out. She's looking around right now because she's trying to figure out why the house is moving. So maybe that'll help you understand why we're concerned. Anyways, I'm going to end the video here and think about some stuff. I don't know. You guys tell me what you think in the comments and what we should do.